watho wa kigina na mbere wite.
Shihadete wega vamugaja na dagika ithatu na ithariri ria kinya ota mutugo ikoragwo ihinda ria kurehera maria marathie na mbere kuhanika mena itiganite ya bururi. So shokiria ngatho cia mwanya ni kunyitanira na ithui umuthi kuri tariki 10 mweri wa gatandatu mwaka wa 2024. Nie njetago Kate Muthoni na riu tukiambira mohoro maitu ma Inoro miaraho. Uria wari minister wa urimi na governor wa mbere wa kaunti ya Meru Peter Munya ni amenereirie watho wa kigina wa mwaka wa 2024 akiuga muoroto wa ndereti ino ni kuhinyiriria mukenya makiria. Munya augite thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza yeranire guteithiriria mukenya uria uhinyiriirio indiriu ireka mugaru na uge ucio. Ikwa Waboshi no ratugura mohoro maitu mainoro miaraho na ripoti ino.
Riri ndereti ya kigina kia mwaka wa 2024 irathie na mbere gutemanio mbere ya kamiti ya kwamukira mawoni guku bururi-ini igitongorio ni mubunge wa Moro Kuria Kimani. Minister wa tene Peter Munya ni amenereirie mutaratara akiuga ni wa kuhinyiriria mukenya.
Ile sheria sahihi iko katika bunge inaitwa Finance Bill. Ni sheria mbovu kwa sababu ni sheria ambayo inaongezea mizigo wananchi wa kawaida. Na pendekezo nyingi zile siko kwa hiyo sheria, si pendekezo za kusaidia uchumi wa Kenya unawiri. Pendekezo zitaharibu biashara, siongezee mizigo wananchi wa kawaida.
Munya augite hindi ya githurano kia mwaka wa 2022 thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza ni yeranire gukanateithia mukenya makiria hari kumwehereria magoti, undu uria umuthi uyu utwikite ngano cia marimu.
Tunashangaa kwa sababu serikali ile iko sahihi ilichaguliwa ikisema ndio itasaidia wanyonge. Ilisema itakuwa serikali ya mama mboga, watu wa bonda, watu wa kawaida. Lakini kila siku policy serikali hii ile wanatoa policy ambazo zinaendelea kukandamiza wananchi wa kawaida.
Hinyiriirie kuga thirikari tifati gukorwo ikinyiria arimi anini, wana thirikari nene ikireire kinyagia matura-ini thirikari cia kaunti cifati gukorwo ciugania magoti ma cess uria ni mugaru na
wakishiria ile serikali iko na nguvu ya kutoza ushuru kwa kilimo ni serikali ya county na inatosha ushuru ile inaitwa cess. Ukipeleka mazao yako kwa soko, serikali ya taifa haina hiyo nguvu, lakini tunasikia inaingia sasa huku kutisha watu kuku ngapi ulipie na ngapi.
Deto ino yukiterere eretie thiku igeretu niguo budget ya bururi ya mwaka 2024 ikorwo igithomwo. Handu-ini ha Inoro TV, ritwa riakwa ni Ikua Waboshi.
Thengio muno Ikua ni ripoti ona tugithii na mbere kumurika icio ciigie ndereti ya watho wa kigina niguo muthenya wa muthia kamiti ya kigina irongania mawoni megie mendithia ma watho wa kigina mwige mweke wa kuheana mawoni ma kamiti ino ikarutia kirata baina ya mishimanio ya KICC. Tuthie imwe kwa imwe nginyagia gikaro-ini kiu tuthikiririe maria marathi na mbere.
The solutions, the clean cooking solutions, stoves, majority of those, especially as well as clean cooking stoves, the biomass, the improved cook stoves, those ones are, I would say, more than 90% produced locally. But these higher quantities we have to use in cooking, the solar appliances, a lot of them are imported and not locally produced.
All right. Thank you very much. We allowed you a little more time because you're presenting a whole of renewable energy. Jennifer, try to inform us. Already, Raja. Pamphlet Omondi from Human Rights. And then you have Michael Karunga. Okay. He was the next councillor. And then we have Omondi from Your Home International.
Honorable Chair, distinguished members of the committee, and my fellow Kenyans, my name is Pamphilo Omondi. I am an activist, and I had several submissions, but some of them have been submitted here, like the one that I have submitted here on the resource page. I wanted that to be exempted from tax because of the good job that they are doing. So they come from just shortly let me say this. I stayed 7 days before calling my mother came in, and she was sick simply because she could not charge her phone because there was no electricity. And the neighbor came, knew that the mother was sick, and then from there I verified and installed Sun King. Thank you so much. Then we communicate, and she's doing well. So I wanted to say that what they are actually is for the poor in the village who cannot be got electricity. So if there is one thing you can do for this country, listen to them, what they have said. That's what I wanted to say. Second, I am an educationist. And what I want to say is that bread, one chair. I know there are very many things in our tax, the bill. And what I want to say is that the demanding increase of managing the economy of our country, indeed we need to pay this. As a Kenyan, I pay tax, and I cannot run away from it. And many Kenyans are also doing it, and we cannot run away from it. But if Bonachia, I want to request you, hii mkati tafadhali isiwekwe tax. Mimi nimefanya na wanafunzi, ninafanya kazi na leo asubuhi, one of the school principals where I am one of the board members of school, I told her that I'm coming, alisema tukipiga hesabu ambao tutaenda kufanya kununua mikati ya shule itakuwa mingi sana, because if this bread is taxed, one bread is going to increase 12 shillings, that is 400 kilograms. And if I give an example of a model of this school, where I was talking to this principal this morning, this school, girls school somewhere in Busi, they use 300 pieces of bread every. Which means 1,000 shillings every day, multiplied by 7 days. That is 21,000 shillings every week. Multiplied by 14 weeks in a term. It is far away beyond. So Bwana Chair, ukitaka kutusikiza kwa hii mambo ya mkati, tutashukuru sana. Na hayo tu nimekuja kusema ya kwamba hata ukiangalia kwa private schools ambazo tunazo utapata kwamba ikifika sana 90% ya hao watoto wanatumia mikate. Sababu ukiangalia the other like what they are far much ahead. So schools and many children are consuming. Some of them, even this is the only meal that they consume in a day. Like there is a school in Quebec where I was on Friday. I went to the children. We are having some initiative to. We find that this child is giving breakfast, a bread, and that is the only meal they will have in that. It's running away from tax. things that will enable children to stay in school. So when hapo naomba hiyo mkati ambayo I know it is very sweet, but tafadhali hakikisha ya kwamba iko free so that this child akipata mkati a bite can go to school. In my village, Sikarira Primary School, a very interior where people don't have shoes. There is a time we went there with some, you know that many children came to school who didn't want to come to school. So let us ensure that we keep these children at school because
na mwiroreri hau nyumba-inĩ wa KICC rũrĩa wabici ya mũtongoria wa kana wa bũrũri Uhuru Kenyatta iraranĩria na andĩki a mohoro ciĩgiĩ mbeca iria iheagwo atongoria a bũrũri a tene. Rĩu reke tũthikĩrĩrie marĩa marathiĩ na njĩra ya ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe ndũmĩrĩri ya mwaria wake Kanzedena ĩrĩa ararekereria ihinda rĩrĩ. Nĩ tũthikĩrĩrie marĩa marathiĩ na mbere.
That is in use by the former First Lady Mama Margaret Kenyatta. The 4 Toyota Prados that have been mentioned are used as follows. 3 are used by the security detail to the president, the former president, and 1 Toyota Prado that is being used by the office, as well as 1 Subaru Forester. Now, what the government spokesperson did not clarify is that the vehicles allocated to the former president for personal use were not new. They were in fact the cars that were part of his motorcade when he left Kasarani during the inauguration ceremony. And this was agreed upon by State House, that the former president uses these vehicles on transitional basis as they begin the process of procuring new vehicles stipulated in the Presidential Benefits Act. That is, 2 vehicles of the retired president's choice, every 3 years, and each having an engine capacity not exceeding 3,000 cc's. 2 four-wheel drive motor vehicles, 2 four-wheel motor drive vehicles of the retired president's choice, also replaceable every 3 years, each all having an engine capacity of 4,000 cc's. Just a point of note as well, the late president and the late president Mwai Kibaki were allocated and more than double the number of vehicles that have been the 3rd retired president to ensure optimum running of his office. There were fuel cards issued, and they were given the maintenance of the vehicles, but that has been done because the cards in the of March 2023 to the date, that is, I'll take that again. The fuel cards were given, however, cancelled and blocked by State House since March 2023. There have been reports on some local that the State House has undertaken and maintenance of vehicles under the former president's office. In fact, I want to say that I did receive calls from some judges to verify incomplete forms provided by a State House official as evidence of services rendered to and maintenance. And despite my clarification, they still went ahead to quote these as valid documents of services rendered. And those copies of those incomplete forms you have in your press pack, you'll be able to peruse that. These forms, you'll see that they have the word approved at the corner, which is what was being used by State House to say that they have approved the services. That signature, I would like to clarify, ladies and gentlemen, belongs to the former State House Comptroller, that is Mr. Kinodhi Ambogwa, who is currently the AIE holder of the office of the 3rd retired president. And those forms, requisitions, were not honored by the accounting officer, who is our accounting officer, that is State House Comptroller. Our complete requisition forms, just for your note, contain signatures and approvals from heads of department. It is therefore the position of the office of the 3rd retired president that the government of the day has not undertaken nor facilitated any repair, maintenance of any vehicles under this, neither have they refueled any cars under this office. As I finalize on the issue in the matter by the government spokesperson, the office still awaits the confirmation and communication on whether the data used to renew contracts of 2 professional staff members Administrator, Mr. George Ryoki, his counsel, Diana Mararo, who is the Director of Communication. There is also unceremonious withdrawal, intimidation of staff via phone calls at midnight. We have provided a list of the complete staff serving in the office of the retired third president, and would also like to clarify the list that Mr. Maula presented in his statement had the wrong time. Members of staff that were there were 32 and not 33. The Act provides for 34 members of staff. Gentlemen, allow me now to present the official of the office of the third retired president. On the issue of the office, before retirement and during his retirement, the former President Kenyatta has been sought to undertake various international roles, especially within the region, in his capacity as a former head of state. And among them was his appointment as by the East African Community Head of State during the 22nd plenary meeting of East Africa Heads of State, which was held on the 22nd of July 2022 in Tanzania. These engagements necessitated the need to identify and establish a suitable office for the former president to enable him carry out these roles and provide an operational base for various cadre of staff. Now, with no response from State House and a lack of commitment to finalize on the issue of the office space, His Excellency, the former president, identified a suitable office space, as you can see where we are, and went ahead to fully furnish and equip it from his pocket. A formal letter was written to State House requesting valuation of the office that was identified by the former President Kenyatta as suitable for him to carry out his duties. However, the office did not receive a response on the issue, and instead, the communication that the office received was via administrative text message by the then in charge, Mr. John Makumi. And in his statement, he indicated the estimates of the in question. Where we are, and that is the office that was elected by the former president. In your communication pack or in your press kit, you will find the communication that alludes to this statement. To date, this office runs on former president's goodwill as it waits on action. On the issue of vehicles, indicated earlier, the president is using vehicles given to him on a transitional basis. The office would like this to go on record that after transition, a conversation on the purchase of vehicles as required by the Act commenced between the two offices. That conversation I have made available for you in the kit, and it notes that the identification of vehicles was done down to the color of the vehicle, and then the conversations. To date, conversations have been revived. We don't know if the cars were purchased or not. International trips, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta has undertaken several official trips related to the role and duties he has engaged in, and only 2 such trips have been honored. The trip to Ethiopia on matters concerning the peace process led by the African Union, and the one to Burundi that was the 11th summit of the heads of state and government of the East African Community on the issues pertaining to the peace process in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The office did submit other requests for facilitation of trips, but received no response. That you will find in your press pack. Now the budget is the 4th issue. Now this is actually the core issue. The office seeks to have addressed budget allocation. In the year 2022, national year 2022-2023, Parliament allocated this office 655 million shillings. The office only confirmed 28 million shillings spread across payment of allowances as well as facilitation of the trips that I mentioned that were honored. That is approximately 4.4% of the total budget for that particular year. And this does not include the payment of salaries and medical insurance. The financial year 2023-2024 that ends in a few weeks, the budget allocation for this office was 503 million shillings. The year is ended without the office having any access to this allocation. The amount for the 2 years that had access to this approximately 1 billion Kenya shillings. Confirm that salaries have been paid as medical insurance, but we cannot allude duties. Now, the coming year, 2024-2025, the budget allocation is 579 million shillings. The office waits with bated breath to see if this will be honoured. You see, the quagmire that this office is in is that the office cannot substantiate what has been used and where the money have been used, since several requests and attempts to get budget returns from the accounting officer house controller have fallen on deaf ears. We would also like to protect ourselves from estimates tabled in Parliament. The position is that we had no input on the budget estimates that informed the allocation of 450 million that the Treasury projects to allocate the office of the third retired president in the year of 2025-2026, which is 475 million shillings for the year 2026-2027, as was reported by the Star newspaper of the Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. After budget estimates are approved in Parliament, the monies are disbursed to the accounting officers through Treasury. It is at this point that a department or office is able to access the budget allocation through the accounting officer as per the requirements. I just want to state that our accounting officer in this case is our house controller. The total cost of the plan is allocated to Parliament as budget estimates, and once approved, the budget allocation will be under care of the accounting officer, who then is expected to allocate the money to the department office. This process has not happened in our case. The lack of access to our rightful budget allocation has forced the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, to run the office from his pocket, paying for all the bills the office incurs. Communication. The office concern the choice of communication by State House to this office. State House chooses a verbal form of communication on official issues or chooses not to respond to correspondence by the office. This includes the requisition for fuel maintenance, office operations and facilitation, pending renewal of contracts and budget returns. We all know the importance of written communication in the office to maintain transparency and order. In the press kit that we have availed to you, you will see internal communication within the office to enable us to account for actions taken following verbal, non-committal communication from the State House. We have also seen the continuous onslaught of the office on local dailies, as well as leaking of misleading documents by State House, presenting the office of the third retired president in bad light to the public. It has never been the intention of this office to engage with State House, the public gallery, on matters that should be handled between the two offices. The position of the office of the third retired president is in respect of institutions, and as such, has remained silent for the last 2 years, hoping for a formal engagement with State House. However, the address of the issue in the public domain has informed the move by this office to give a formal response on the real state of affairs. We call upon the relevant institutions led by Parliament, who are mandated to uphold the rule of law and defend the Constitution, the Auditor General, who is tasked to hold the government accountable in its expenditure, as well as a controller of budget, to look into the issues that we have raised. As an office, willing and ready to engage. However, it is our observation that there is a lack of commitment and reluctance by the government in fulfilling the presidential benefit in totality. Now, there was an issue that was raised in the statement about Mama Kenyatta. So, as pertains to that Her Excellency Mama Ngina Kenyatta, in her capacity as former First Lady and surviving spouse of the late President Jomo Kenyatta, is entitled to benefits amounting to 50% of her pension. 3 Range Rovers that Her Excellency Mama Ngina Kenyatta had in her possession were allocated by the late President Daniel Arap Moi and the late President Mwai Kibaki during their respective tenures, and accordingly after every 3 years, that is. Now, the government spokesperson has, but clearly the government today has not provided with any vehicle. In fact, we would like the 2023 at 7 p.m. all her drivers and security detail allocated to her were withdrawn from their residences via phone. The claims in the media when reinstated is false. To cap it off, fuel cards for her vehicles were also blocked since March 2023 to date, and vehicle maintenance denied. She fuels and maintains these government vehicles, one of which has been unserviceable for approximately over 1 year. The Presidential Act, which includes the former Prime Minister, Right Honourable Raila Odinga, the first retired Vice President, Honourable Mudi Awuor, and the second retired Vice President, Honourable Kalonzo Musyoka. We also know that the current Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honourable Musalia Mudavadi, was also a beneficiary of this before his new role in the current government. Of the government's commitment to support the retired president in accordance with the law is the ideal situation. It saddens this office to inform the public that unfortunately that picture does not exist. Our worry as an office is a precedence that is being set by the government of the day. Their decision to blatantly execution of the presidential 11 of 2023 seems to open up a Pandora's box that will leave a retired head of state at the mercy of the government of the day. And as Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice anywhere is a threat everywhere, whatever affects one directly or indirectly. So help us God. And we'd like to clarify that this is not what we would want to happen. This is not how we would want to engage, because we respect the rule of law. However, any matters arising, we do acknowledge that there are officers concerned, and we do hope that they will be able to pick it up and address the issue. I conclude my statement, and now I'll take any questions. Yes, sir. Justice. That is not true. You'll see in your press pack that there's a letter that was written to State House asking for the valuation of this office, and there has been no response.
And is it also true that the office of the fourth president wants the government to pay rent for its private property?
I think what I understand here is that the suitable choice of office, and I've explained to you what informed him to be able to use this office. And actually, if I may just add to that, is that the offices that are being used currently had to be taken over because what I've explained is that there were duties that needed to be taken over immediately. And despite our being able to reach out to the office of State House to be able to pay, or rather to be able to settle our office, has gone to deaf ears. The offices that we use are currently on that side where on the other side where you're from. Those used to be actually servant quarters that were converted urgently so that the office can be able to be in use. Yes. 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 Unfortunately, we have not under salary for the last 2 years.
Question.
Yes. Yes, Ken.
Just wanted to know, in terms of the money the president spent on this, will you be able to quantify how much is it now? And your salary.
Yes.
So who is sustaining?
That's all that I can say about it. So just talk about savings. And I'm not able to actually quantify on how it is that the president has been able to spend, because that includes fueling, includes the foods that we're eating as a staff, travel bills, all those things, electricity. So I'm not yet able to compound in totality how much that is, but it's a rough amount. My is our administrator, our personnel officer. Maybe she can be able to answer that question.
Good afternoon, everyone. We do not have an exact figure of. Currently, we do not have an exact figure of exactly how much that he has spent, but that totals to the transport bills, every travel that he makes, catering bills as well, and any other running, administration, operational running of the office. But you don't have the exact figure at the moment.
But you require a refund if things go well.
Yeah. We have the documents. We don't have the exact the right figure, but we have all the documentation with us.
Yes. Yeah. Three. Yeah. 1 billion shillings.
From as far as you know, was that money released from National Treasury and it was stuck somewhere, or it was not released at all?
Okay. From the understanding, which you can go back and verify, is that once Parliament allocates the money, I also read it in my statement, the money is the accounting officer. The accounting officer is the Comptroller of State. So what happens is that once the money comes, we make a request for whatever it is we'll need, whether it's fueling, travel, and all that. So that money is supposed to be released to us by the accounting officer. That is one. On your second question, it is difficult to assess and understand why the actions that have been taken by State House have been taken, but we just notice that there's a reluctance, yes, towards aiding us. Yeah. Any other question? Yes. Yes, Sidi.
How far away was to peacekeeping DRC the spokesman would speak some time back. So it's kind of speaking to whatever is happening in the police.
Okay, to your first question, I think the pressure today was about the office and the status. So on peacekeeping, we will address that much later. In terms of the timing, you did realize that he did the presser, I think, last week on Friday. It was not a long time ago. He did the presser last week on Friday. Last week, but on Friday, I think. Last week, but on Friday. What we needed to do and why we took time was we wanted to ensure that what we are bringing before you is the true position and with evidence. So that we are not just alluding to a statement, but we want you to have the evidence so that you may be able to understand the correct position of this office and what we stand for and what is true, which we want to make it public. And the reason why we've been able to respond is because they formally responded through the government spokesperson, and we felt that that was now the opportunity for us, as the Office of the Third Retired President, to also make our formal response so that people get to understand that this is where we are right now, with any political indication in the country right now. Yes.
I just wanted to ask you whether you can rent out, sort of rent out property that belongs to you and ask them to pay you from where you see you think that is morally correct.
Okay, there is something that I would want you to follow up. Maybe you can check in the public. There was a conversation that happened during His Excellency's tenure concerning also the other beneficiaries of the Office of the Retired President. And there is actually a conversation that happened between State House and the AG's office. I'm just not able to have those documents right now, but it alluded to the fact that being able to rent an office that belongs or is related to the family is a conflict in interest issue. That issue was with one of the beneficiaries. I'm just not able to name who it is right now, but it was concluded by the AG then that it was a conflict of interest, and that's why the former president made the decision to have the offices here. Yes. Yes. Yes.
My question is, the reason why the settlement is actually structured on the Office of the Retired President
yes.
is because it has to be anchored within the law, and that is the Retirement
Benefits Act. Yes.
Don't you think there are fewer terms and conditions that come to these benefits that perhaps the government feels have been flouted, but are not being adhered to, especially touching on politics that could bring this complexity and gives them a good grey area not to do what you're asking them to do?
I know that one of the things that they talk about is his involvement in politics. And I think the correct position is that if you remember very clearly, immediately after inauguration, there was an NDC that was held by the Jubilee Party. And the process of that, the purpose of that NDC was to begin a process for him to be able to hand over chairmanship. But as we know, things went as they went, and the matter is currently in court. So inevitably, he remains the chairman of Jubilee. Inevitably, because he's one of the key, the Jubilee is one of the key parties of Azimio, he still remains in Jubilee. However, I think we can note anywhere that he's inactive in terms of political activity. So I don't think that that should be a basis or a TOR that should necessitate the kind of movement that the office of the retired third president. Yes.
Has there been attempts directly by the former president to speak to the current president with the view of certain administrative issues when it's exclusively left to the office of the administrator?
I think there's nothing that has necessitated there to be a conversation because everything is, it's a rule of law. It's how things need to happen. It's the operations that would require for them to have a conversation. Yes.
So, I just wanted to know how desperate is the institution? How desperate are you? Because 2 years without the salary.
By the Well, we thank God for His mercies. That's not where we are at right now. It's not fair. Just say that it's not fair for us to have waited for 2 years and going, and we still don't have an idea when that's going to end. Naam.
Swali langu litakamanisha na kuuliza Kenya. Tunaliona jina la rais wa taifa la Kenya kitajwa katika siasa za eneo la Kenya. Kwa hivyo kwa mambo yake hapa na pale. Hivi msimamo wa ofisi ya rais wa taifa la Kenya ni gani? Hivi huenda tukamwona labda ndio kwa kama hayo. Hilo la kwanza. Kisha la pili
kuhusiana na swala hilo la siasa, nadhani ameshaweka wazi na umeona kwamba katika ndio yake kwamba hajajihusisha vyovyote vile na siasa. Watu kumtaja wangependa kumtaja, kuna mapendekezo na ni mapendekezo tu yako humu ambayo hayana uhakika wowote. Kwa hivyo sidhani kama itakuwa ni sawa kuweza kumuunganisha na masuala haya, manake yeye mwenyewe hajasimama akaweza kuyataja kama mambo ambayo yanahusika nayo. Wamekuwa wanapigiwa simu usiku na wanaambiwa waende katika station tofauti kuliko ile ambao wameletwa hapa. Yaani wanapigwa transfer kupitia simu. Wapo. Lakini kwa sababu pia wao ni wa maafisa wa serikali, tungependa kuwalinda. Yes, Moshorke.
The former CJ, Justice Maraga, the state former president of the President. Is it fair to say this is the first time that is happening? Yet that happened and that is over?
Sorry.
The former CJ.
Yes. Yes.
The complaint of the state of the former president.
But you see, the Chief Justice is not part of the Retired President's Benefit Act. He's a public servant. His matters are handled by judiciary. Right?
He was complaining of not getting what he deserved.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Their benefits are judiciary, not the Presidential Benefits Act. Another question? Kwa muktasari basi, ningependa kusema kwa muktasari sasa. Ni kwamba kama ofisi ya rais mstaafu wa 3, Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, ni kwamba tumeweza kueleza ya kwamba kufikia sasa tumeona madai kwenye baadhi ya vyombo vya habari kuelekeza ya kwamba ofisi ya rais imeweza kupewa msaada au imeweza kufanyiwa mambo yote ambayo yanastahili kufanywa kulingana na sheria. Lakini ukweli ni kwamba swala hilo halijaweza kushughulikiwa, maana kama unavyoona ikiwa ni katika mgao wa bajeti, ofisi hii haijaweza kupata mgao kupitia katika mwaka wa 2022, 2023, mwaka 2024, mwaka 2023-24, ambapo katika mwaka huo wa kwanza mgao ulikuwa ni shilingi 1655, na kwa sasa tunaweza kusema kwamba kuna takriban asilimia 30, milioni 30 ambayo tumeweza kutumia, na tunasema takriban, kwa sababu we've not yet gotten the budget returns. Hatujapata mwelekeo huo ili kuweza kujua kama pesa hizo zimeweza kutumika na zimeweza kutumika vipi. Mnamo mwaka wa pili pia tumepata mgao wa bajeti wa 1503 na kufikia sasa hatujaona hata shilingi moja. Tunajua kwamba mishahara imelipwa, hatujui ni kiasi bado hatujaweza kupata hizo budget returns. Na katika juhudi zetu zote za kuweza kuwasiliana na ofisi ya State House ili kuweza kujua na kuelewa hali ni ipi na kwa nini mambo yanaendelea vile yalivyo, hatujaweza kupata mwelekeo wowote. Maana kile waraka tunaoandika hatupati majibu, na majibu yanapokuja na simu na huelewi ni ipi unachukua na ipi huchukui. Maana hupati simu moja, unapata simu zaidi tofauti. Kuna ile swala la magari limezungumziwa, nimeonyesha ya kwamba magari aliona ni magari rani ya kuweza kupatia taifa la nchi. Ilikuwa ni maelewano kwamba aweze kuchukua magari kwa safari hiyo ili State House ama sasa kuanza mikakati ya kuweza kuwa magari ambayo ameweza kulingana na sheria. Kwa hivyo tutashangaza kuona kwamba wanasema wametupa magari, lakini magari waliotupa sio magari ambayo yameweza kuelekezwa katika sheria. Na pia tungeweza kusema ya kwamba kulingana na ofisi hajapewa ofisi bado. Maana msemaji wa serikali alisema kwamba alikuwa amepewa ofisi yake ambayo alikuwa ameichagua yeye na ikaweza pia kupewa vifaa. Hiyo nayo nimesema sio kweli. Tungali bado tunasubiri kuona kwamba tunaweza kuwasiliana na Ikulu kuhusiana na swala hilo. Na pia katika swala zima baadhi ya wafanyakazi ambao wanafanya kazi tumeorodhia kamili, walisema watu 33 lakini watu 30 wamesalia watu ni bwana George Karioki na mimi Dikanzede. Ndivyo bwana Kanzede. Kusema ya kwamba sisi kama ofisi hatujapenda kweli kuzungumza masuala haya kwenye mhadhara. Tumejaribu sana kadri ya uwezo wetu kuweza kuwasiliana na ofisi kupitia nyaraka na hata kujaribu kutafuta na kuweza kuzungumza, lakini juhudi zetu zote zimegonga mwamba. Na kwa sababu tuliona ya kwamba wameweza kuzungumzia swala hili kupitia msemaji wa serikali, ndipo sasa tukaona ni vyema na tukaweza kusema ni kipi ambacho ni cha haki na ni kipi ambacho ni kweli. Na tumeweza pia kuwapa baadhi ya nyaraka ambazo tumeweza kuandika na masuala mbalimbali ambayo yameweza kugusiwa na msemaji wa serikali ya kwamba hivi ndivyo hali halisi ilivyo. Na tungependa pia kuendelea
na mweroreri ni ripoti yakorwo ikirekererio kuma wafishini ya wakana Uhuru Kenyatta na yakorwo ikirekererio mwaria wake uwekaine ta Kanze Dena, na Kanze ni yakorwo akirekereria miario yako kigiriko kiria kana kuheana kigiriko kira president wakana Uhuru Kenyatta akoretwo akigera kumariria aumira wafishini mwaka wa 2022 na umwe wa maundu maria Kanze akorwo akimurika ni kuga ati president wakana kana president Potiguera Uhuru Kenyatta dakoretwo akiamukira mushara na njoherera iria president atigawira akoretwo akiamukira kuma serikali na kumana president wakana Uhuru Kenyatta no akoretwo akirugamirira garama yake na oho iliha idio ciatiwira ake kuriha magari yake o hamwe na kuriha thafari iria akoretwo agithieta irimwe cia gucokia thayo mabũrũri-inĩ matiganĩte. Na oho Kanze no akorwo akiuga ati ona ngari president Uhuru ndari akorwo akiheo kumariria president wa gatano William Ruto akorirwo akioya matamu ma utongoria oya matamu mau ni agirirwo gukorwo akigathikira ngari mo president wa kana niguo akorwo akihota guthii na mbere na maundu make. No kuringana na Kanze Uhuru ndari amukira ngari cio agirirwo kwamukira indi akoretwo akihuthira ngari ithatu iria ahuthagira o hau gatene, na oho nowe akoretwo akirugamirira marihi ma maguta ma ngari cio o hamwe na gucitwara igathondekwo riria ciathuka undu uria president atagirwo gukorwo agika. Na nikio marauga ni ukoretwo na mutukanio kuona president Mwai Kibaki o president oni makorirwo makirorwo ni thirikari iria ciakororwo cikiingira thutha wao na kurorwo ta giturwa gia president Mutiguwera, undu uria president Uhuru Kenyatta akorwo akiuga kana kugerera wabici yake akorwo akiuga ndukoretwo ugikwo kuria agirwo gukorwo akiamukira ciringi milioni 1.32 o mweri. Indi ni mbeca arauga atakoretwo akiamukira undu uria onolituhitie mirutire wira na oho onaruti wira wabici niyo yake takanya kwa mutikoretwo akiamukira mishahara kwa ihinda mĩaka ĩrĩ hotometie maundu matiganite na oho no makorwo makiuga ati Mama Ngina Kenyatta uria ni nyina wa Uhuru Kenyatta na nowe wari mutumia wa president wa kana ndakoretwo akiamukira ngari iria thirikari ino yagirwo kumuhe niguo ahote guthii na mbere na wira wake koguo onake ni akoretwo akirugamirira marihi maguta ma ngari ciake undu uria ukoretwo wagirirwo ukorwo kirugamirwo ni thirikari na oho kuma tariki 18 mweri wa Julai mwaka wa 2023 dereva ake ni makorwo makieherio kwa ihinda na matiakorwo makiheo gitumi kia dereva cio kweherio na makorwo makieherio na njira ya kuhurirwo thimu undu uria utari wonekana na atongoria angi an hau kabere na koguo mani maundu mamwe makorwo makiruta makiuga ati wabici iyo ya president raheo gitio kiria yagirwo gukorwo ikiheo gigatiba na koguo ni koretwo ikiagirwo gitio kiu na kanze akirikiriria no akorwo akiuga ati mani maundu matangienda gukorwo makiaria king'ang'a-ini kana makimarehe mbere ya muingi no kuma na kigiriko kiria makoretwo makigerekanio matua itua ria gukorwo makiaria na makiria kuona ati mwaria wa thirikari Isaac Mwaura ni akoretwo akiuga ati wabici iyo ni koretwo ikiamukira ngari yagirirwo kuhe koguo kandi arauga uhoro ucio ti wa ma na koguo ni marenda kurorwo gigatiba maundu maria magirwo gukorwo makiheo wabici iyo ya president Mutiguwira matigirire ati nao ni mahingire roreri mano maria makorwo ya mweno ucio na mwandiki wa mohoro Muriuki wa Muchoki ni ahadite Sheba kuu niguo akorwo agiturera riboti ino na njira mohoro-ini maria makorwo magithii na mbere no ihinda o hanini tu ndugathi haraka ni turacokereria
Habo imetengenezwa na mchanganyiko wa mimea ya asili iliyodhibitishwa kisayansi kuimarisha nguvu za mtoto na utunzo ofisi wako. Ijaribu Habo iliyodhibitishwa kisayansi kwa meno imara na uzazi wenye afya. Colgate Charcoal imetengenezwa kwa mkaa, ni dawa ya kuaminika.
Githomo nĩ njĩra njega ya gũkũhingũra meciria na maitho nigetha ũtaũkĩrwo wega nĩ opportunities iria ingĩcenjia mũtũrĩre waku kaimana. Gũkũ Technical College tũrĩ na ũhoti wa gũgũthomithia kothi itiganĩte kũhĩtũkĩra the latest cutting edge technology. Need Technical College nĩ brand ĩtĩkĩte mũno nĩ employers tondũ graduates makoragwo marĩ critical thinkers and problem solvers. Gũkũ Need Technical College tũrĩ na bara academic and social life and nito created a conducive campus environment. Muciari kiraniro gitu kuri we ni ati nitugwika o uria wothe tungihota gutigirira mwanake kana muiretu wa ni agamia muturire-ini.
Ũngĩenda mũgũnda mwega wĩ hakuhĩ na taũni,
ũngĩenda mũgũnda ũtarĩ na cira, ũngĩenda mũgũnda wĩna ready title deed,
security na thukuru,
kanitha na thibitarĩ,
handũ ũkoroka gwaka rũciũ
nĩ mawega.
Njĩtagwo Ndonga, mũrũgamĩrĩri Mawega Company Limited. Na ithuĩ nĩ ithuĩ tũrutaga andũ kombori-inĩ tũkamatua komborithania.
Njĩtagwo Njenga, Director Mawega Company Limited, na ithuĩ nĩ ithuĩ twendagia mĩgũnda ĩrĩa hakuhĩ na mataũni. Ũguo wenda mũgũnda gũra na
Mawega Company Limited.
Na rĩu
wona warĩkia kũrĩha mũgũnda waku tũragũitĩra rori ya mahiga ma kwambĩrĩria mũthingi. Tũhũrĩre thimũ 0798 555 444.
Mawega Company Limited, mũciĩ waku wa ũigithia.
Heritage Mabati tukwendageria mabati ma kũgita nyũmba yaku ma gĩkĩro kĩa igũrũ na mathogora mũbacĩrĩre. Oya kanya gaka twĩna special offers harĩ gauge 30 box profile na ciringi 400, Roman tile profile na ciringi 543, stone coated tiles na Roman stone coated tiles na ciringi 600. Twĩna stock ũngĩgũra no kuwe mũthenya oro ũcio na delivery ĩtarĩ marĩhi guothe bũrũri-inĩ kwa ihinda rĩa mathaa 72. Ũhoro ũngĩ mwega nĩ atĩ warĩha 50% hau twambagĩrĩria mibango ya delivery na oho twĩna marĩhi ma kahora kahora. Tũhũrĩre thimũ 0746 66 7456 kana ũtũcerere wabici-inĩ ũmũthĩ ũkenere discounts ũtangĩtigithia.
Chitagwo Shiro wa GP, CEO wa Ewama Properties Limited, na haha ndĩ nĩ Girigiri hakuhĩ na Rangaranga town. Plot ici nĩ cia 50 by 100 na cihutĩtie bara ĩno ya kuma Rangaranga gũthiĩ Mũrũngarũ. Nĩ ready to build tondũ kwĩna thitima, kwĩna maĩ na nĩ kũndũ gwake mũno. Tũriganĩtie na cukuru wa Mwega Primary na o gũkũ twĩna phase 4. Ndagĩka ĩmwe tu kuma barabara-inĩ ĩno yumĩte Rangaranga ĩthiĩte Mĩharatĩ. Thogora nĩ 500 warĩha cash na warĩha na installment nĩ 550. Site visit nĩ every Saturday. Tuhũrĩre thimũ namba 0720 76 9999 na no tũcerere ofici-inĩ citũ Kiambu Town. Ewama Properties Limited, mũthingi witũ nĩ kwĩhokeka.
Deakin College. Itagwo Sir David wa Mũrĩithi, mũrũgamĩrĩri mũnene wa Deakin College, na nĩ njũĩ ndakwĩra Deakin College nĩ tũkwĩraga we train beyond the obvious, na kĩrĩko kĩu nĩ tũigaga. Mũciari, ũrethera mwana waku kothi, Deakin College nĩ tũkwĩraga twĩna ũgĩ na ũmenyo wa mĩaka mĩingĩ, tũtikorwo tũhĩmbĩirie kothi nyingĩ. Kothi citũ igakorwo nĩ hospitality management, nĩ andũ metaga hotel and catering, tũgakorwo na cosmetology, nĩ hair dressing and beauty, tũgakorwo na fashion and design, oho twĩna kothi cia plumbing and pipe fitting na electrical and electronics. Tukwiraga watu rehera mwana waku tumuromboya iga maundu ma discipline na guidance and counseling ati akiuma goko akorwo ni mundu murongerereku na ni hotugaga ati in college education tikuthomithia facts, rather ni kuma train hakiri ciao agakorwo agiciria ta mundu wa kothio eka. Deakin College.
Ni urenda kugita nyumba yaku na mabati ma gutura na ma uthaka wa kiriu horera riu tondu kambuni igatubira Ruiru Mabati Factory Limited iria yoikaine na wendia nguthi wa mabati ma gikiro kia iguru maria metiragia mbura nene na riũa rĩhiũ. Twi haha ni undu waku. Endia itu ni mohigeire wira-ini wao, koguo ni magutaraga na magakwenderia kuringana na muigana kana muhiano wa nyumba yaku, ukahuthia wira na ukahonokia mbeca. Wicagurire kuma kwi mithemba ngũrani ta Jenga Tile, Europe Tile, Box Profile na mangĩ maingĩ. Oho ni monekaga na marangi ngũrani na tugakurehera nginya o gwaku mũrango-inĩ gwa kahinda ka mathaa 24 tu. Tucerere Ruiru Town kana ũtũhũrĩre thimũ namba 0111 050 700. Ruiru Mabati Factory, mali safi kwa bei poa.
Riu no wigire na bonus riria riothe wekira thimo yaku credit ni undu muhuthu. No uthie haria ha M-Pesa wikire paybill number nio 33 account, wikire namba ya thimo yaku ucoke wikire mbeca iria urenda kugura credit. Paybill number 33000.
Gather cia mwanya mwiroreri nĩ gũthiĩ na gũikara mĩtambo-inĩ tũgĩthiĩ na mbere na mohoro na ihinda rĩrĩ tũkĩmũrĩka kũrĩa haro-inĩ anyitithania a mũthako kaunti-inĩ ya Nakuru honge iria ithukĩirwo wĩigĩrĩrĩki wa kũrũmbũiya na mathako mahĩmbĩria mũthako ũyũ ta mathako marĩa mangĩ me ngumo. Makiaria marĩ mwena wa Lanet hĩndĩ ya mbĩtĩka cia mũthako ũyũ iria iragucĩrĩirie timu 10 maugĩte mũthako ũyũ ũngĩhĩmbĩrio na ũnyagio matũra-inĩ na ũgĩe na ngumo na wonie andũ a mĩhĩrĩga yothe kaũndũ ga gwĩka na meyeheranie na mĩhang'o ĩtarĩ na ũguni.
Twiraga nginya anake aria maumite Lanet, athuri, atumia, ria wekora nduri na maundu maingĩ wĩ namo ukaha Luxurious Dart Club wikie mĩgwendo kurĩhio nĩ free na niĩ ndĩ ta patron nĩ hotaga kũrũgamĩrĩra charges cia registration ya members nigetha tugatigira anake aitũ aitũra rĩrĩ ritũ nĩ mahota kwĩ engage na mũthako ũcio.
Na hau mwiroreri nĩ tũkorwo tũgĩtirihĩra mohoro maitũ ma ithaa rĩrĩ tũcokeria ngatho cia mwanya nĩ ũnyitanĩri waku na oho ngoya mweke ũgũkwendithĩria mĩaraho mĩega. Niĩ njĩtagwo Kate Muthoni.